Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Kaelora from Tangerine Games. Kaelora is a 1-to-4 player set collection game in which players are going to be wandering around the map trying to collect various tokens in order to put them on their board in order to score a variety of points, and we'll tell you how in a second. Before we get into that, this channel is sponsored by Allplay, more about them at the end of the video, and this is a prototype, all rules, components of the exchange, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. In Kaelora, players are going to basically take their turn moving their person 1 to 3 spaces across the board to collect various tokens. You can move to an adjacent spot, flip it over, see if you want that token, and then decide if you want to keep going. In this case, I really want to, I'm going to try to keep going and get something else. We're going to go over here. The moon's not bad. Let's go ahead and take the moon. And the reason we're going to take the moon is because that's going to do a few things for us. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to complete this row over here. Whenever you have a row or a diagonal, basically whenever you have a straight line, if that row or straight line on your personal board comprises either all different elements or all the same element, you'll score points. 2 points per token for all the same. So for example, over here, I will get 4 points. I have 2 moon tokens in a line. If it's all different, you get 1 point per token, so between 2 to 5 points depending on the length of the line. And again, if they're all the same, you're looking at between 4 to 10 points depending on the length of the line. But that's not the only thing you're being mindful of, because there's 2 categories of tokens. There's the various elements, the moon, the sun, the water, and then there's the various other animal species over here. Whenever you have the elements, you have a way of affecting the game with abilities. The moon tokens will allow you to affect the scoring of various animals. So for example, when I take that moon token, because I have these 2, I'm actually going to go ahead and bump this token up to the highest spot over here, to the highest scoring, because I think I'm investing more in that and I want to be worth more points at the end of the game. Sun tokens will score points for everything surrounded it, so you can get immediate chunks of points depending on how filled your grid is, and water tokens act as wild specifically for that scoring that I mentioned, where you have all the same or all different, because water can count as its own element, but it can also contribute in different ways to different lines in the grid. After that, there's the various animal species. The animal species, like I inferred earlier, are basically going for a point scoring mechanism. You have these point tiles over here that are worth various points for whoever has the most of that species. For example, whoever has the most of this one right now will get 15 points, second place will get 10, third place will get 5, going all the way to 1, 2, or 3. So you can see the various species, as well as your ability to influence the value of those species, can be worth a big difference in the chunk of points. So gathering various species to have more than your opponents, as well as using the moon tokens to alter the scoring value of the ones you have the most of, can be incredibly powerful. But that's not everything, because there's still more. But wait, there's more. When you complete a row, specifically a row, not a line, meaning not going this way, but going this way over here, you have these tents that you put out. I just completed my row with 2, so I'm going to put this tent out over here, which is going to allow me to peek at this scoring tile over here and see how much, ooh, that's not good. That's only worth 3 points. That's relevant because the tiles are worth 3, 6, 9, and 12. And you're playing not just for your own board, but for a degree of area control scoring for the various 4 quadrants of the grid. So this is where I want to invest the least time as far as getting my tents out, because tents, as well as your person, your explorer, at the end of the game, are going to count towards those. So being able to find which tokens are worth the most and hunting in that area of the grid and getting your tents out there can be worth a nice extra chunk of points on top of everything else. And then lastly, optional, well, actually there's two lastlies. Lastly, by default, there's going to be these berry tokens. Berries allow you to move an extra space. You can trade in a berry to move an extra space, or at the end of the game, whoever has the most berries scores a point per berry at the end of the game. And then the actual lastly is we have these bonus scoring cards over here. There's a set of them. This prototype only had 3, but there are supposed to be a bunch of these cards, and you can choose a few of them to add to your game, which will give players a way of getting the extra points on the card for fulfilling certain objectives on those cards. That's the basic idea of the game. You are moving your explorer 1 to 3 spaces. You can stop at any point and flip over tokens. Oh, hi. Hello there. You can stop, well, hello, okay. You can stop and flip over tokens and decide if you want those tokens, adding them to your grid to score points for similar or different rows, trying to get your tents out, and being mindful of the animal scoring. And with that, we can go, oh, and there's a solo mode. There's a solo mode which I played as well, but we'll talk more about that in our thoughts. So, let's go ahead and dive into what I like, don't like, and see others not liking, all of that stuff, starting off with what I like as she explores the background up there. But anyway, starting off with what I like, in general, setting your player board over here, there's a lot of things to be mindful as far as how you fill your grid. You can try to strive for like full rows of difference and full rows of the same if you're really perfect with your planning, and those water tokens will help you out a lot as you do that, but you really need to juggle everything between the variable animal scoring, because sure, sometimes it's nice to fill out that full row or grid, but if that's going to be the thing that costs you 12 points worth of draft, dragons, you really need to be mindful as to, is it worth getting 5 points and giving up 12 because, hey, I got 5 different species, but I really needed an extra dragon to beat John over there who's going for the extra dragons. So you really need to be mindful as far as how you fill out your grid and the variable scoring of everything as you try to be mindful of all the stuff. And there's a push your luck system over here because of the fact that as you explore the grid, you are flipping over tiles. First of all, you need to be mindful of what you're revealing for the opponents on the board and how that might help them. You really need to be paying attention between, okay, great, this tile might not be the best for me, but also Sarah's right next to me and she could take it, and that could be the thing that gives her the dragons. So honestly, maybe I play the denial move right now because she's too close to it. I also didn't mention, but as you get your tents out on the grid, you can hop between adjacent tents, between tents from yours or your opponents, and your opponents will get points when you use their tents and vice versa. So that's another little way of getting a few extra points in the game. So overall, there's really a lot to consider as far as the different scoring things while playing into a fairly simple and accessible push your luck system that, as well as giving you these bonus objectives to add to the game. Like, I would never not use these because I like extra things. I like the more scoring stuff you can stuff in to make every decision I make more weighted as far as how do I interpret the value of what the best thing is for me, and then being mindful of my opponents. I like those, so I would always use those. So overall, it's pretty simple. It's very easy to learn, to teach, pretty simple to play, fast playing, and just gives you a lot to juggle within that system. As far as things I don't like, the moon is not always the most fun, especially if you already have the tiles where you want them, or if you just don't have enough things on your grid. So the moon is, like, I would argue, my least fun tile. I'm not saying it doesn't have an impact, but it's also the least fun in the sense that sometimes you invest the whole game in dragons, because this is the reverse of what I just said. You can invest the whole game in dragons to get those 15 points, and then 3 players can just use moons and completely destroy the value of what you've invested in. So I think the moon, to me personally, is my least fun token, both for when it's not useful to me as a player, and also when it's too useful to my opponents, and thus kind of destroying the value of what I was working towards. And you could and should say, okay, well then be mindful of the moon so they can't do that. But sometimes that means taking a moon just for the denial play of how it won't hurt yours, and it's not that that's not strategically sound, it's just not a fun moment per se. So I would say that when I'm judging the fun factor of a move, not the strategic benefit of it, the fun factor of the moon has almost always been the least fun for me in both ways, both in terms of taking it to help me, as well as in terms of the way it can hurt me. Also, the region scoring can be a little lucky. I don't love the fact that these camps that you place out, you have to place them out to see the value of a region. So you're playing this random game as to, did I put my first tent in the 12 or in the 3? That's an area where it just feels very luck driven. There's no way to really invest and find the moons without putting out your camp, and that means that you're just kind of, you have to invest in the blind draw, and from there, sure, you can pivot and adjust, but that first token, and you only have 4 plus your explorer, so that's another area where I felt there's a little bit luck driven. Again, that potentially not feel good moment. Don't get me wrong, I've sometimes placed it down and found the 12, and that is a feel good moment, but that's 2 of the options. 9 and 12 are fun, and 3 and 6 are not fun, and it's just random as far as how it works out. I'll also say, having played the solo mode as well, when I dove into this game, I played the solo mode to learn it, and I should have put this in what I like. I like the fact that the solo mode does play very differently than playing multiplayer. There's a whole different strategy. Because you're playing against a robot that effectively has its own set of rules, you can try to game those rules, and the robot's going to be seeking out certain tokens, and you specifically want to deny having tokens of different colors on the board to increase the chances that the robot will actually take nothing on its turn, which it's a whole different game. I like the different challenge it provides. It's a different little mind game. But when you're playing solo, the thing I don't like is the solo mode can also be very luck dependent because of the way you're rolling a die, and you can try to tactically plan. It's also hard. There's 3 different levels. I beat the medium level just barely. I cannot imagine beating the hard level. It's fun, has its pros and cons. As far as what I can see others not liking, the berry scoring does feel a little bit anticlimactic. It's not the worst because if you trade it in for the moves, it can be very helpful, but also that little trade-off aspect of, do I give up those extra 2 moves, or do I score 4 or 5 points in berries? It's not a ton of points, so it's a small little extra thing that, again, didn't necessarily feel that strategically, that's fun. Let's go with that fun. You also have to pay attention to other players' boards. If you don't like doing that in this game, you probably will not do as well. Because this is area control for area control both on the board as well as for the various species. Because of that, you really do need to be paying attention to your opponents and how they're doing things. Otherwise, you're just kind of doing your own fun thing, and that's not where the bulk of the points are going to be. As far as final thoughts on Kaelora, I found this overall to be pretty charming. It's pretty straightforward. It teaches, again, the rulebook's pretty accessible, easy to dive into. It plays pretty quickly. It's easy. It's fast. It's overall a pretty fun experience, and the solo felt like its own different beast, which I appreciated as well. Both multiplayer and solo, this is a fun little, how can I add things to my grid while engaging in a degree of push your luck as you try to work on area control in different categories. Overall, I found this with it, I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. As far as other game recommendations, definitely check out Terra Nova if you're looking for an older game that I found to be very fun as far as how to close off a board. Kind of different game as far as, like, there's not really area control in the same way, although there definitely is a degree of cutting off areas for your own benefit, but I found that one to be a lot of fun. And this also feels a little bit similar to Azul in the way that you're both competing on a shared board for various tokens, while placing them into your grid, being mindful how they're going to help you score there. That element felt very similar to the Azul series. And then also, I mentioned that Allplay is a channel sponsor. If you go to allplay.com, you can find games from both themselves as well as their partner publishers, and if you're in the US, it's $4 flat rate shipping for anything. But check out Waddle. Waddle is from Allplay, and it's also a very cutthroat area control-ish game where you're trying to get your various tokens, your penguins, onto the board in order to score based on how well they surround the various zones. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.